Welcome everyone as we continue with our program, Spiritual Christmas, with a major theme, the central theme, Jesus' loving invitation. All of us who may be here, all of those who later on may join us, or even those who get in contact later on through the files which will be available. May we all feel welcome in this spiritual environment where we find ourselves. And for us to start our meeting today, we have the pleasure to invite our friend Thais Ferrari, who will be talking about the theme Affability and Docility. But before we start to talk, I would kindly invite all of us together to join us through a harmonization process, through a prayer. For those who wish to close your eyes, please feel free to do so as we start focusing within. We starting to calm our minds, to calm our hearts, as we observe our breathing, as we breathe in and breathe out, allowing ourselves to disconnect from the external elements of our existences and bringing the focus of our attention within as we continue to calm our minds and hearts so that we can perceive ourselves essentially beings of goodness, as we all are. Perceive ourselves as learners. Perceive ourselves as brothers and sisters in humanity. And we start this meeting by expressing our gratitude towards the Creator of everything and everyone. There was opportunity for us to be here on earth once more through the law of reincarnation. Our gratitude for all of those who are part in our existences, helping us to develop ourselves, and we also helping to promote goodness around us. We express our gratitude towards our Master Jesus, our dearest friends, the guide of humanity, who is extending once more the opportunity for all of us to reflect, to study a bit more about the natural universal concepts, helping us to promote us spiritually. Our gratitude for the enlightened spirits who anticipated us, prepared this ambient, embrace us all in this moment, and as we are joined through the feelings of brotherhood, fraternity, we start our study today. So be it. So in that way, we present Thais. For those who don't know Thais, as we mentioned, we are carrying on with our program, Spiritual Christmas, with the main theme, Jesus' Loving Invitation. And Thais Ferrari will be presenting the theme today, Affability and Docility. Thais Ferrari lives in Kent, in UK, member of the Spiritist Psychological Society in London, biomedical scientist, master in hematology and transfusion science. Sorry about my English here. So, Thais, feel welcome, and I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Ebenezer. And thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. I would like to welcome everyone that is here with us in this virtual room, this virtual space. All will be with us another time watching this through the social media. And I would like to start wishing you all a blessed new year, and may our hearts be filled with joy, kindness, and love. And that we can every day grow stronger and stronger in our faith, especially through these challenging times where we're going through these unknown circumstances. But let's know for sure that God wants us wants what is best for us, and that we all be okay. So our topic today, as Evanis mentioned, is about affability and mildness, or docility. And this is within this amazing theme of Jesus' loving invitation that is happening through the month of December. And who better than our Master and Brother Jesus to show us, to give us example lessons of affability and mildness. So let's start by establishing here the terms affability and mildness. So affability is the quality of being affable, benevolent, cordial, gentle, and mildness or mild, it's being gentle, kind, loving. And in the Gospel according to Spiritism, we find instructions from the Spirit Lazarus from 1861 about these two virtues. And if you want to read its entirety, please read chapter 9, that is named Blessed are the Meek and the Peacemakers. So in these slides that is showing now, 9 and 6, where Lazarus starts his message by saying, benevolence towards one's fellow creatures, which is the result of loving your neighbor, manifests itself in the form of affability and mildness. So Lazarus tells us here that affability and mildness is the manifestation of loving our neighbor. And we may ask ourselves, who is my neighbor? Who is our neighbor? And Jesus, through his teachings more than 2,000 years ago, came to teach us that our neighbors are not just the ones that live near us, beside our house, or are close to us, but is all our brothers and sisters in humanity. And he also came to establish the need for docility, moderation, affability, patience, benevolence, amongst other virtues, which is all part of love towards all. So his lessons through actions was so powerful that he divided the world in before and after him. And we are still trying to fully understand his teachings and how to put them into actions. So moving on to the next slide, I would like to take us in a reflection about our thoughts and our feelings. So what we have in our heart and mind will be reflected through our thoughts, feelings, and behavior, which is also reflecting our vibrations. And that's what this slide is showing. In other words, if we're happy and with positive thoughts, we send vibrations that is related to happiness. The same way that if we are sad or bitter, we will emit vibrations related to irritation, to sadness. And this emission, this energy that we are sending and receiving all the time, will inundate our surroundings and will be perceptive and absorbed by others, depending on their awareness and vibrations. And you may ask, and may be asking, what this have to do with affability and mildness? So people that have developed these virtues have the capability of emitting strengthening, cheerful feelings to whoever is in need. As we say, they send these vibrations, this energy that is, in this case, is related to love, from their thoughts to their feelings and behaviors. Love is their motivation and is part of every word or gesture that comes from them. So the opposite is to say that every offensive thought, word, or behavior that we may have, we may express, is the opposite feeling from the law of love and charity that Jesus teaches. Therefore, it's important that we develop the understanding of our actions and its consequence in every aspect of our life and existence. Then we become more careful, we become more vigilant in our social interactions and with the style of life that we choose to live. So we must remember that our thoughts and words are powerful and can deeply hurt someone. But when we are kind, when we are gentle, and when we have empathy towards others, we can generate joy and hope, renewing and giving new directions to someone else's life and to our life as well. We can transform an ambient or a situation which is very uncomfortable. An example would be where everyone is involved in gossiping or anger or complaints or all of this. And in these situations, if we can exercise these virtues, affability, for example, having a pacifying attitude, it can soothe the hot tempers, creating a constructive ambient to honesty and fraternity amongst each other. Mother Teresa said once that we must not allow someone to leave our presence before they are feeling better and happy. And how challenging can that be if we ourselves many times are struggling to feel that way? I can say for sure that this is certainly not easy to achieve, not for me at least. But and I believe that all of us can do what Mother Teresa said. Jesus has always uplifted those that went to him, showing them, guiding them, telling them that all they needed was within them. And he also told us that God has judged us worthy of the good work. And this is part of the good work that we are called upon. Sometimes I hear people saying that they are waiting for the day that Jesus will return. But Jesus has never, ever left us. He is the governor of this planet. He's the co-creator of this amazing and wonderful planet that we live in. And him, with the superior spirits and all the immortal beings, disincarnated or incarnated, surrounding us, are guiding, giving us support and opportunity, reminding us that we can all do this, that we are worth, that we must remember to let our light shine, that we need to break these limiting beliefs that we might have of ourselves. So on the next slide, Lazarus goes on saying, however, it's not always a good thing to trust in appearance. Education and worldliness can give a man a thin veneer of these qualities. There are many who simulate good nature, but is nothing more than an exterior mask, like beautiful clothes hiding interior deformities. The world is full of such people with a smile on their lips, but poison in their hearts, who are mild as long as nothing irritates them, but bite at the least provocation. Those whose tongues are made of gold when speaking face to face, but change into a poisoned dart when speaking from behind. So here, Lazarus help us to reflect that when Jesus came to teach us about benevolence, affability, and docility, he was teaching us about the honest sentiment that comes from loving each other. He was not talking about the culture or habits of a society where many times we are more worried about our appearance and status, and as a result, we might create these masks that we put on to please people. However, as soon as we feel comfortable, when we feel like we can be ourselves, we put down these masks and then we show our truly behavior. But let's remember when we talked about vibrations and inundating our surrounds with our thoughts and sentiments. So there is no way to hide behind masks when it comes to our spirit. We show and express ourselves as we really are. And it can really seen in when words or behaviors are empty of benevolence. But what is important of Lazarus telling us about this is it for us to understand that we could perhaps be using the thin veneer of this quality, as he mentioned, instead of truly developing and exercise these virtues. It's the importance of knowing this, to point out a finger to my partner, to my colleagues at work, to my friends, someone in my family, my neighbor, someone in the spiritual center or the church that I go to, that perhaps they're not being sincere, or would the importance of becoming conscious of this is to become aware of my own shadows, my needs to sincerely learn the mildness and the affability that Jesus came and left us example of, and put this into action on our day to day. So let's look on the next slide. When Lazarus continues his message here, still in the category of those showing benign features. These are those domestic tyrants who make their family and subordinates suffer the weight of their pride and despotism, as if they are trying to get even for any constraints possibly imposed upon them while away from home, not daring to use their authority on strangers who would call them to order. They want to at least be feared by those who cannot resist them. They are proud to be able to say, I give the orders here and I'm obeyed. But they never think that they could also add, and I am detested. And on the next slide, I would like to continue reflecting about this, adding a message from the book Renewing Attitudes. This is by the Spirit Hamed, and it's found in a chapter called Social Veneer. And Hamed goes on saying, indeed, it is at home that we discover who we are. It's in the home that it runs down the varnish of calm and charity that we put on our faces and that reveals as we are to our family members. We bring gentle gestures and a sweet voice to perform tasks in life to the public, in contact with managers and friends, with fellow workers and new acquaintances. But we also bring stones in our hands or clenched fists in dealing with those that are part of our family. By wanting to look like someone we are not, or to impress creatures in order to conquer them by immediate interests, we incorporate fictional characters on the stage of life. In other words, it's as if we fulfill a script in a theatrical performance, nothing more than that. And we still see this. We still hear so many cases of physical, mental, and verbal abuse that goes on at home. Let's sincerely reflect within ourselves. Let's bring this message to us and ask ourselves, how am I treating my family? How am I treating my parents, my children, my partner, my brothers, my sisters, my friends, the ones closer to me? I'm going to quote Madre Teresa here again. When she was receiving the Nobel Prize, she was asked, what could we do to promote the world peace? And she simply answered, and I found it beautiful, very simple, but beautifully answered. She said, go back home and starting by love your family. So am I conducting in this manner? What if to the educations that my parents or society has gave me, I'm just wearing this thin veneer, and when presented with the first stone that is thrown my way, as Lazarus was saying, I would let the varnish of calm and mildness run, and I would show how intolerant I truly am. So regardless of our culture, our gender, our age, regardless of any ideal, we all want to be treated the same with the benevolence that Jesus has shown us. So I'll invite everyone here to be the example, the motivation for others to also do the same. And if yet I cannot be patient, benevolent, moderate, affable, mild, all these virtues that we have been mentioning, let's stop and try to understand what is holding me back. What is in my way? Why can I not exercise these virtues yet? Let us regain self-control of our emotions. And when we look down, when we look deep down within ourselves, we might see that it is still our pride, our selfishness, that we are allowing in every opportunity that we have to show compassion, empathy, to be kind, caring, and mild. We are allowing those vices to take over. And this is an invitation to self-reflection, to self-awareness. And many times I know it's not easy to see when are we being selfish or pride and allowing these vices to take over. However, when we can recognize that we still need to work to overcome these vices, I see as a great step towards our renewing, towards our transformation, because we have been, and God knows how long, blind, and now we can see. So understanding our imperfections does not make us unworthy. Let's remember that God has judged us worthy of the good work. And the more I notice the external stimulus and that stimulus may be cultural, physical, spiritual, social, but these stimulus that brings to the surface this type of behavior when I'm intolerant, aggressive, bitter, rude, the more I understand, the more possibilities I will have to renew myself. Working towards changing these attitudes, trusting that my social relationships will become more authentic and more sincere. By leaving behind the preconceived ideas that I might have towards a situation, a person, or towards an idea, and looking at the circumstance and at myself and others as children of God, imperfect beings, all taking the same road towards progress. And by doing this, I'm sure I'll be able to exercise moment by moment, day by day, forgiveness, indulgence, affability, mildness, humbleness, patience, learning to love. So we have made incredible progress. When we look where we are in science, in technology, art, it's incredible what we have achieved. And I know we can achieve much more. But we must now work towards our moral progress. So by moving on to the next slide, which is still part of this chapter, it's not from Lazarus this time, it's from a spirit friend, and he leaves us this reflection. Be patient, because this is also a charity. Everyone should practice the law of charity as taught by Christ, who is God's envoy. Charity given to the poor in the form of alms is the easiest of all. Here we're talking about the material needs, which is crucial, is definitely necessary, and I'm not saying otherwise. So, however, there is another kind of charity which is much more laborious and so consequently offers higher merit. That is to forgive all those placed in your pathway by God to act as instrument for your suffering and to test your patience. placed by God in our path as instruments to test our patience and to test every other aspect of the virtues that we must develop. So we need each other. And how do we react towards them? Can we already see their way? Can we already see my neighbor as an instrument of God putting on my path to develop these virtues? There one or men that we know who, that we sometimes call the difficult ones, is placed by God in our path to help us to morally evolve. It's challenging, isn't it? But we can. So let's make our motto for this new year, 2022, that is about to start, even if it starts as something mechanical, fake, the veneer that Lazarus was talking about. But at least we'll be making an effort to hold back our anger, our pride, our selfishness, our bitterness, by not being rude or aggressive. And with time and continual effort, this mechanical behavior will become more natural and part of us as we exercise the change that we need to do, transforming whatever we need to be transformed. So far reflecting about affability and mildness, we learned that when exercise them, we are also exercising other virtues, we're developing our virtues, and that they are all connected so we can learn to love one another. I want to read as well a small paragraph still in this chapter where Lazarus leaves us a message about obedience and resignation. And he goes on saying, thus each time is marked with the stamp of the virtue or vice which it has either to save or to lose. The virtue of this generation is intellectuality, and the vice is moral indifference. Again, let's reflect within us what is holding us back. And I will leave this reflection. I'll leave everyone with this reflection. So if we carry on with our topic, how can we develop affability and mildness? So we have a vast number of superior spirit that guide us towards this. And I would like to mention 2 paragraphs here on this slide. One from the Spirit's Manual, psychographed by Chico Xavier, found in the book called Living Spring. So in chapter 43, he says, through language, the man can help himself or not. Everyone has its enigma, needs and pain. It's not fair to add to the neighbor's affliction with the burden of our worries. So each one of us go through trials and tribulations as consequences of our own choices, even if we are not conscious of it. So why take it on our brothers and sisters that are also suffering and learning and working towards renewing themselves? To me, that's the reflection that brought it when I read this paragraph. So in chapter 54, he carries on saying, the idea that no one should search to better themselves, to become useful to the divine revelation, is more like a sign of stagnation than proof of humility. Life is an advanced course for our improvement through our own effort. If even the stone must go through cutting to reflect the light, what to say of each one of us that are called to reflect the divine on us? Then on the next slide, we have passages containing Matthew, which Jesus stated, by your words you'll be justified, and by your words you'll be condemned. So here, to me, I learned that dialogues and thoughts and sound are sounds that create fields of condensed energy inside and outside me. And in Paulo to Romans, it says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. So the apparent transformation nothing will bring to our spiritual progress. We must, through our own efforts, work towards the transformation of our moral values, whatever needs to be transformed, and then exercise it every day. So in summary, what I would like to leave it here for us all to reflect is that Jesus has left us a loving invitation for our progress, our betterment, and he still guides and gives us support. In this chapter that we can find in the Gospel according to Spiritism, blessed are the meek and the peacemakers, we are guided to be benevolent, which is manifested by affability and docility, which is also connected with a number of virtues that we have mentioned, and that in summary will help us to love one another as Jesus has instructed us. Treating each other with kindness, respect, indulgence, mildness is a universal value. We all want to be treated like this. Let each one of us self-reflect in our behaviors. How am I treating the ones around me? Starting with the ones closer to me. Even starting with how am I treating myself? And we must understand that the lack of developing these virtues in our relationships, in our social interactions, will lead to disagreements, to hate, separation, will make enemies, will be unhappy, will develop that feeling of emptiness. And this will also reflect in our physical bodies through conditions such as stress, anxiety, depression, cancer. So let us all set a goal for the new year. Let's be more healthy. And let's develop this by loving more, by forgiving more. Be more patient, indulgent, affable, mild. Let us put the difference behind us. Any political, culture, or religious difference that we may have, and treat each other with respect, reminding ourselves that we are all children of God, walking towards a relative perfection, and that all of us at this stage of our spiritual progress still make mistakes, and that we cannot expect perfection from anyone when we are not perfect ourselves. Let's remember that relationships are treasure in our existence. Let us soften and smooth our interactions with one another. Perhaps let's put that in practice through a smile, for example, that can give energy, optimism, hope, can facilitate many things and welcome us. Perhaps turning our voice to a lower range if we have the habit of shouting or raising our voices. So this will not hurt people's ears or cause discomfort to anyone. If we don't have the habit, for example, of saying, excuse me, please, thank you, good morning, good evening, good night, let's create the habit. This will demonstrate respect and appreciation. So let's look at each other in the eye, demonstrating attention and appreciation as well. Let's listen more and speak less, and let's observe more and react less. I know it can be very challenging, but we can do this. All these are habits that we can cultivate day by day. And we will see when we find ourselves going through problems or challenging situations that we will be better equipped to behave with others around us. And in by doing it, soothing this situation and giving everyone involved a better opportunity to deal with whatever is happening, including us. And many times in our life, we may lose the opportunity to be affable and mild, due to bitterness and irritation. So on the next slide, I would like to read a message from the Spirit Joanna de Angelis. It was received by Divaldo Franco on the book Vidas Vazias, so Empty Lives. I believe this book has not been translated in English yet, but I'm sure it won't take long. I really suggest it's an amazing book, and it has brought me many, many reflections. So this is a chapter called About Kindness. It's a huge chapter, so I haven't put the whole thing here. And I will just read towards the end where I took some paragraphs that I thought it was related to this topic. So it says, in the light of Christianity, which is based on love, every effort should be made to polish the bad inclinations. These enable the achievement of the postulates of which our Mother Jesus showed in his teachings and in his actions. Step by step, the treasures of knowledge are acquired, which are incorporated into the being, allowing the exteriorizations of well-being, equilibrium, and of solidarity. Jesus remains the kindest man that mankind has ever known. His entire apostolate is an anthem of exaltation to balance, harmony, and kindness. And then Joanna de Angelis will bring us a reflection about what must be our position when we are faced with rudeness and aggressive behaviors of intolerance towards us. So she carries on saying, in this way, do not allow yourself to be discouraged or disheartened when attacked, disrespected or misunderstood. Do not expect any less from the stone but rudeness. Your gentle conduct will transform the edges of brutality and alter its face, making it a valuable instrument of usefulness and value. Do not identify yourself with the rude, matching his grotesque treatment towards you. Smile when victimized and be kind to him. The transformation of society for the better takes place in your gracious, affable persistence. Your step and your words will create a happy atmosphere, and in this way, will not allow the triumph of evil. There will be no lack of embarrassing situations trying to prevent your progress, nor will friends and supporters who will curse your edifying perseverance. They will be the elements that you will face in a daily life, insisting that you remain in the shadow of cruelty. Excuse them and proceed. Jesus waits for you. There's a second message as well that I would like to bring in here. It's from a friendly spirit given in 1862 and is also found in the Gospel according to Spiritism. And it goes us encouraging us, saying, courage, my friends. Christ is your model. He suffered far more than any of you and had nothing to offer penitence for, whereas we must attune for our past and thereby fortify ourselves for the future. So be patient, be Christians. These words summarizes everything. It's very profound, both messages. So let us be authentic. Let us discover our real inner potentialities, which we have inherited from our Divine Father. By developing them, we will act more naturally, and consequently, we will be at peace with ourselves and with the world. And we will also help the world to achieve this peace that we all look for. And to end my reflections today, I would like to read another message from the Spiritual Manual, and it can be found on the book Calm. It's entitled as Bitterness and Irritation. Someone has said that you have some hidden disease preventing you from smiling, but don't believe that this or that organic indisposition can rob you of your serenity. Possibly some unpleasant occurrence has stirred your innermost forces, and you are about to fall into the vast chain of negative reactions. A certain person, perhaps, contradicted your projects and plans. Some unexpected loss has come to you. Remember, moments of crisis examines your resilience. Certain setbacks are anticipated blessings, and the significance of such you will come to understand. There are losses that induce you to change your orientation towards greater gains. Sometimes certain relationships fade away so that others can stand out on your path, teaching us to appreciate all relationships as an opportunity for growth. No matter what, don't frown and let your smile help you, helping others. Bitterness and irritation, in essence, are two shadows that keep you away from what is best. So, thank you so much for listening. I hope we can all take this reflection with us and look at deep down and see what we can do to be more affable, be mild, be more patient, and make 2022 a better year for not just us, but those around us, at work, at home, wherever we go. And I'll pass you on to Evanice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thais, for your presence in bringing us these deep and profound reflections that we all need still to take on and also to practice and exercise. Thank you very much indeed. As we are coming to the end of our reflections today, we would kindly ask you, Thais, for you to facilitate our final prayer for all of us and those who may be with us through the different channels. May you also cooperate through your own thoughts.
Thank you, Evanice. So I invite you all to close your eyes if you wish to do so. And let's unite our minds and our hearts, raising our thoughts to God, to Jesus, our beloved Master, our brother. And thank you for the opportunity to be here on earth, reincarnated, surrounded by those that are put towards our path as instrument of God to help us to evolve morally, to help us to develop the virtues that will teach us to love one another and to help them as well. I thank you for this doctrine, Spiritism, that has brought so much love and console to my life, to this existence, that has helped me and is helping me to reflect, to look within, and look at my shadows, but not as a limited, not seeing me as a limited being, but by seeing how much I can improve, how much I can progress, and help others as well around me, motivating them through my example, through my actions. I thank you, the Spirit's guides that is always with me, with us, with all the patience, all the love towards us, to every step, every choice that we make, inspiring us to take the good path. And even when we choose the large door where things perhaps are more comfortable, we see as being easier, they are still there with us until we learn that is not the right path. With our heart, with my heart full of gratitude for this opportunity, for the love of Jesus towards all of us, for the mercy and the love of God towards us. I would like to end this talk and wish you all a blessed year, a blessed night, and let Jesus be always present in our lives, in our heart, in our actions. So be it.
Thank you very much indeed, Thais. And thank you for those who have been also joining us through participating in the live transmission. Now we move on, also inviting all of you, if you choose to carry on with our reflections in this Christmas period, as tomorrow we will have the pleasure to have with us our friend Stephen Bertozzo from Ireland, who will be presenting the theme, Is the Light Yoga a Choice? So everyone is welcome at 6 p.m. tomorrow night, also through the different channels of transmission, or YouTube or Facebook, and also through Web Rádio Fraternidade. Otherwise, for those who want to carry on with us tonight, at 8 p.m. London time, we have the pleasure to have with us our dear friend from Brazil, Luciane Bahia, who will be talking about the theme Affabilidade e Doçura. Otherwise, we do wish you well for all of you and hope to see you tonight or tomorrow as we carry on as learners, as students, having the blessings of reflecting about Spiritism, which is a life philosophy helping us to understand ourselves as immortal beings in a very consoling way, in a very hopeful way, understanding ourselves better, understanding our experiences better as well from a transpersonal reality, as we are all immortal beings and essentially beings of love and goodness within, as we learn, as tonight has been said, to be more docile, more affable, more friendly with ourselves and others as well, as we all are on the pathway of learning to love us and others. And in that way, Thais, thank you very much indeed. We also wish you well in your family and all of those who also are with us here tonight. Much peace to all and hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.